I never thought one quiet evening in my neighborhood would change how I saw friendship, loyalty, and love. My name is Emily Parker, and I had lived in the same suburban street in Ohio for nearly 8 years. It was the kind of place where neighbors knew each other by name, where kids rode bikes down cul-de-sacs, and where every autumn people gathered for block parties with hot cider and pumpkin pies. My neighbor, Daniel Miller, was one of those familiar faces. He was friendly, always polite, and the kind of person who shoveled snow from the sidewalks of elderly neighbors without being asked. For years, our relationship was nothing more than neighborly waves and casual small talk about the weather or garbage pickup days. But as life unfolded, our paths started crossing more often. I was a single mother raising my daughter, Sarah, who was 10 at the time. Daniel was in his early 40s, living alone after a tough divorce. He never spoke much about it, but you could sense it had left a scar. Our friendship grew naturally. Sarah adored him because he would often help her fix her bike or teach her simple tricks with a basketball in his driveway. I appreciated him because he never made me feel like a burden when I asked for small favors, like checking my mail when I was away or carrying something heavy for my car. In return, I baked him pies on holidays or brought over dinner when I cooked too much. But nothing prepared me for that one late night when he showed up at my door. It was a Thursday evening in late October, chilly and unusually quiet. Sarah had gone to sleep early, curled under her blanket with her favorite storybook. I sat in the living room, sipping chamomile tea and catching up on some work emails. Then came a knock. It was almost 10:30 p.m., and I remember my heart skipping a beat. At that hour, people usually didn't drop by unless something was wrong. When I opened the door, there stood Daniel. He looked nervous, his hands shoved into the pockets of his gray hoodie, his eyes darting around as if he wasn't sure if he should be there. "Emily, can we talk?" he asked softly. I nodded, stepping aside to let him in. He walked in slowly, like someone carrying a heavy weight. We sat down at the dining table, and for a moment, he just stared at his clasped hands. "I need to tell you something," he said finally, his voice low but steady. "I didn't plan on saying this tonight, but I can't hold it in any longer. Emily, I've been holding back how I feel about you. I care about you. More than just a neighbor. More than just a friend." My heart raced. The words hung in the air like thunder after lightning. I didn't know what to say. I looked at him, and for the first time I noticed the sincerity in his eyes, the way he looked at me like I was the only person in the world. "Daniel," I whispered, unsure of what would follow. He reached into his pocket, and for a second, I thought he was pulling out a letter or maybe just fidgeting with his keys. But what he pulled out made me freeze. It was a small, simple box. He placed it on the table between us. "Emily, I know this sounds crazy. I know this is sudden. But I've thought about this for a long time. Life is short, and I don't want to waste any more time hiding how I feel. I'm asking you to consider being more than my neighbor. I want to build something real with you. And yes, maybe this is too soon to use the word, but I want to marry someone who makes me feel alive again. That someone is you." I was stunned. It wasn't the grand, rehearsed proposal you see in movies with candlelight and music. It was raw, real, and completely unexpected. I sat there in silence, my mind racing. Part of me was overwhelmed. How could he ask me something like this so suddenly? Another part of me felt touched beyond words, because I knew Daniel wasn't a man who played games. If he said something, he meant it. "Daniel," I finally said, my voice trembling, "this is a lot. I never imagined." "I know," he cut in, his eyes pleading. "You don't have to answer tonight. I just needed you to know. To really know." The next few days were a blur of emotions. Every time I saw Daniel across the street, I felt a mix of confusion and curiosity. I thought about all the moments he had been there for me, the times he had shown kindness without expecting anything in return. I remembered how Sarah lit up when he was around, how safe I always felt knowing he lived next door. But marriage? That was a leap I wasn't ready for, not yet. Still, I couldn't deny there was something between us, something worth exploring. One evening, I invited him over for dinner. Sarah was excited, as if she knew something special was happening. Over roasted chicken and mashed potatoes, Daniel and I finally had an honest conversation. I wasn't expecting a proposal, I admitted, but I can't ignore that you've been a huge part of my life. You've been more than just a neighbor. You've been a friend, a supporter, and someone Sarah looks up to. I don't know what the future holds, but maybe we can take it one step at a time. Relief washed over his face, and he smiled in a way that melted the tension between us. That's all I could ever hope for, he said. From that night on, things slowly shifted. He became part of our dinners more often, joined us on weekend hikes, and even helped Sarah with her school projects. What started as a shocking late-night proposal turned into a journey of building trust, laughter, and memories together. It took months before I could even think about saying yes to anything beyond friendship. But with each passing day, I realized Daniel's late-night confession wasn't just an impulsive act. It was the start of something real. And maybe, just maybe, that night at my doorstep was the beginning of a love story neither of us saw coming.